Allison is still alive. It's Vanya versus the Umbrella Academy, and it's the end of the world. So stay tuned. We're talking episodes 9 and 10.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What is up, guys? We are talking Umbrella Academy episodes 9 and 10. We are here at the end of the season, and oh my gosh, so much went down. I am your girl, Drew Jones, and I am sitting here with a fan favorite, Jim.
Right. That's right. Good introduction, Drew. I'm Jim Alexander. Oh, we have a lot to talk about. The world's ended for the Umbrella Academy, and we're still here.
I think the question on everyone's mind is, do you still find Klaus useless after this?
Okay, fair point to start out with. I told you last week how he was starting to grow on me. I finally found him like redeemable in episode 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it. I felt he's done in the last 2 episodes. He kind of built on that. So there is more of a purpose for him besides the side jokes and gags and the goofiness. And I think at the end, it did kind of show that, you know, he finally manifested something to happen. So he's won me over slowly. I think definitely his character arc is a lot better in the last 4 episodes than it was in the first 6.
We'll take it. Let's hop into episode 9 because last we left off, Allison looks like she might be dead at the hands of her dear sister Vanya. But alas, Allison is alive, but she cannot speak. Therefore, she cannot use her powers. What did you think of Allison's plot line in episode 9?
I think you called it. You said she's going to survive, right, in the predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she's going to be dead because when you're slitting someone like that and she was bleeding out literally for a while, I really didn't think. But I guess they justify in a sense by she can't talk, right? So something did happen. The damage did happen. You do kind of need her because there's loose ends that weren't tied up without her if she had just died. So I'm kind of glad that they brought her back for a longer thing. We did see Allison and my guy kind of grow their thing together too, even though for her not being able to talk had brought them closer together. So, I mean, that storyline, I know people are hating on it, but hey, there's something to it. The show wants you to go along with her and give it a chance. So I'm giving it a chance.
It's still gross. They are brother and sister.
Was it me or was there like a little flashback of them as children in a room? I thought I saw like a...
Yeah, there are multiple not like just in this episode, but...
Was it Juan and Allison in the room together as kids when Vanya was kind of going back and going through time?
They were like ignoring her.
Were they kissing or doing...
No, they've never done anything physical.
Okay, good to know. And I'm like, at that point, I would have had to call this off.
They had a kiss, but then the day that wasn't happened, and so then they've never, in this timeline, they've never done anything, which, like, thank God, because, again, brother and sister. But I think it's interesting that Allison loses, she can't talk, so therefore she can't use her abilities, but in reality, she hasn't used her abilities for a really long time. Like, she kind of gave up on it a long time ago. And I think what's interesting about it is that it shows that Allison is a lot more powerful than we put on, because, like, she does have the emotional pull on all of her siblings, and we've seen it throughout the season how she kind of has a connection with each one, especially Vanya, without using her powers. And I find it interesting that, like, her power is manipulation, but, like, at the same time, without using her power is empathy.
Don't you feel like she's kind of the mother of all of them in a sense? Like, we have mom, but she's not really doing that much. But
I mean, she's a robot.
Yeah, so it's like she's like the one that really is kind of the caretaker of them all. Like, obviously she has a child, so she's in a different space too than a lot of them. I just feel she's always not using him in a sense, because she's kind of being the mom and looking over everyone. And I don't think it's her place yet to use her powers.
I also think she's realized that most of the things in her life are artificial and fake because she's used her powers to get them. And the one thing she hasn't had to use her powers to have is her family. So I think she kind of respects that aspect and keeps that, like, a pure
Plus, she's
bond.
scarred maybe from the situation with her child.
Yeah.
You know, so that might be another thing holding her back.
We get to kind of find out more about Vanya's history because obviously she, you know, flips out in the last episode. And so we get flashbacks of young Vanya, and we see her go through a gaggle of nannies.
Yeah.
Which was just like...
Who wants oatmeal? No one.
I was a nanny once, and when I was in college, and I wish a little girl would snap my neck over some oatmeal. Ridiculous.
That was scary. I mean, can't find a nanny unless she's a robot, right?
Yeah, full-blown anger problems. But Hargreaves finds a solution by creating Grace, which is cool to see, you know, the introduction to Grace and how she comes into the family. But obviously you can only create so many robot moms and whatnot, and the problem keeps going on. And so Hargreaves eventually has to put her in this chamber, drug her down, and we find out that Allison actually was the one who had to be like, I heard a rumor that you think you're ordinary. And so her entire, you know, memory of her powers is kind of erased, which is really sad.
True, but don't you think now it makes more sense when you look at even Luther trying to close her off? Like, she's a threat. In a lot of ways, she doesn't even understand. So, in a way, there's justifiable reasons for these actions.
No, because I think putting a Band-Aid on a crack in a dam is eventually going to crack and you're going to flood everything. I think it's kind of like, again, I've said this multiple times on this after show, that I feel like each of these people are showing different ways that that abuse is dealt with, and Vanya's has been anger, and instead of like them addressing the situation and working through it and finding tools for her to be able to control her emotions, you just like drugged her down and you really just like put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, but there's no other way for them to solve it. Like, they have no idea, and that's why closing her off, or at least putting her in some sort of, you know, in a place where she can't hurt anyone or cause destruction. I mean, we're still finding out that she's the cause of the apocalypse, right? There's got to be a way to quarantine her in some way.
I don't think making her feel less of a person and making her feel like an outsider isn't going to get her to control her emotions. Working through said emotions in a setting that's safe for everyone. So maybe having her like...
She's over the top at this point. There's no control of her emotions. That's the thing.
Now,
it's too late now.
Now, because they put a Band-Aid on it for the past, 17 years.
They were, yeah, agreed.
Had Hargreaves had dealt with it when she was 3 years old, because that's when she's, in this little chambers, when she's, young, 7, 3 years old, whatever. This could have been a situation that was handled. It could have been fixed. Do
we blame Hargreaves for kind of leaving the dirty work for the kids and everyone else to deal with later?
Absolutely.
And kind of, not wanting to deal with it and brushing it off, and when he was the one that I agree in the fact that he was the first one in line to know about this and could have probably taken care of it more so.
Absolutely. I do put it definitely on him. But, I think this could have been preventable when she came back to the Umbrella Academy and Luther embraced her with open arms and then squeezed her till she passed out and put her back in the chamber. Because you don't go somewhere where you know you're going to be in trouble if you're not looking for someone to help you. She was looking for help. She was looking for understanding. And he put her in this chamber. And I feel like had he let Allison do what she needed to do, the end of the world wouldn't have happened.
That's a fair point.
If they had been siblings like they were supposed to be.
But there's a lot of stuff that happened in the childhood that lead to these events we're at right now. It's all stuff that was manifesting for years. That was pushed back. That was hidden.
But there's never a point of no return. There was never a moment there where it was a point of no return for her. There was always a chance for them to be understanding and be siblings and to help her through it. And Luther kind of just did the exact same thing Hargreaves did and just put a Band-Aid on it.
I just think at this point it was justifiable because it was out of control already. It was too late to do anything else because now she was a threat to everyone. She was destruction. She was killing. She hurt
Allison, but I'm saying she could have gone off the deep end.
She hurt Allison.
She could have left, gone off the deep end, and not come back. She came back to the place she knew to find help. If someone comes to you looking for help, and this is their first time coming to you for help, how do you just...
Yeah, I just felt like Luther also had it more personal because of what happened to Allison. He took it more personal than anyone else.
No, Luther's black and white. He doesn't, I've said this a million times, Luther has the emotional capacity of a pinto bean.
I disagree.
And so he was just like, me, Luther, you, Vanya, and squeezed her and threw her in a chamber.
He's always looking out for the rest. So for him,
he's always looking out for Allison. It might be black and white.
Well, true. He does have that special place for her, in his heart. But the thing is, he's always looking out at the bigger picture. Because I feel like sometimes everything's narrow-sighted. But with him, he's like, okay, first and foremost, keep everyone safe. keep her safe from herself too, in a lot of ways. Like, it's not like he's punishing her. He's actually just trying to, in a sense, buy some time, by putting her away in this quarantine.
He was content with leaving her down there
until they figured something out, because no one had answers.
But they didn't even give her he didn't give her an opportunity to speak for herself. He didn't give her an opportunity
because they can't trust her after he saw what happened to Allison. How can you trust her right now? Everyone's dying around.
If the victim herself is like, give her a chance, I feel like you should give her a chance. Luther assumes that he knows what's best for everybody because he's number one. There's literally nothing that qualifies Luther to be the leader of that group besides the fact that he's taller than everyone. He has no empathy. He has no emotional capacity to be a leader. He doesn't have.
How do you know? But they all follow him yet. Who's rebelling completely against him? They all come back to him at the end.
If somebody has put you in a position of power for your entire being, you naturally are going to follow them. People have parents who are absolute crap, but naturally they listen to what they say because that's been the person who's been in position of power for them most of their life.
Who's position of power that you think should be leading this group?
I think they're adults. I don't think they should have anyone in position of power. I think it's
that's fair. If you want to go like each individual kind of take care of themselves, I can understand that.
I think it's a team. It's not. There shouldn't be a captain of this team because none of them. They all bring something different to the table, and no one brings something more to the table than the other.
But you can say the same thing about Avengers, right? Captain America, or in the movies, I guess Iron Man's kind of the leader of the team, but they all have equally
Which one would you say
power.
is the leader of the team, though? Because you just named two of them. There's not one sole person who's leading the team.
They've split a lot of cases, so but
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It didn't work with one person trying to lead. Because
there's more cooks in that kitchen than here. Here we have, a limited amount, a handful almost to deal with. So, and they're different. It's more of a family kind of atmosphere, right? So they're all grew up with each other in a lot of ways and been around each other and understand each other probably better than random superheroes. I just feel like, I don't know if Luther's hasn't been really questioned by it, but everyone, like, if Luther's not the leader, then Allison can be the kind of the mom figure, the caretaker, You don't want Klaus leading him. Diego's got a lot of issues when it comes. I think he's got mommy issues in a lot of ways.
Luther has full-blown daddy issues.
He does.
Luther went to the moon for 4 years without questioning anything. He was like, "Yeah, Dad, I'll go get isolated from the world for 4 years, just so you don't have to look at my big hairy monkey body."
But here's the thing. But Luther is understanding enough, and he's disciplined enough to take orders, and when he does, he believes in him. Like, I don't know if anyone else could be able to handle what he was given to him, or Luther projected at least.
Luther is the type that would follow any cause if you put him in it early enough. Luther is a foot soldier. He is not a leader. He's a foot soldier. He does what he's told, and now that he's in a position, and now
what bad decisions has he made, at least in the last 2 episodes, in these 2 episodes?
He put Vanya in a chamber.
But was that a bad decision? Maybe she could cause more destruction if she was.
In the grand scheme of things, well, she ended the world.
Before she ended the world, she almost ended Allison. She thought she did. I mean, luckily, Allison survived. She ended Pogo, right?
After the fact.
Still, she's causing a lot of damage, and if you let her be on the loose, she's killing more individuals that are along the way.
I'm just saying the Allison thing was an accident. It wasn't. She didn't do intentional homicide besides Leonard, which Leonard had it coming.
Well, Leonard kind of said, I can see now how he set himself up, and he asked for it. I think he asked for his own demise at the end, and literally asked for it.
But the Pogo thing, you find out all this stuff about. I'm just saying, I feel like Vanya was justified, not with the Allison thing, but that was clearly an accident. But
I'm not Team Vanya anymore. I was liking her until the last 2 episodes. I think she caused too much damage and chaos for her to be a character that we're still are very invested as we were previously in. At least she lost me. I'll say that.
I think it's unfair to have someone who literally practically has it's like imagine giving a toddler an AK-47 and then having the safety on it for the last 20-something years. They don't know they have it, and all of a sudden the safety gets taken off, and you get mad at them for not knowing that she's
an adult, though. She's not a child. There's difference if she was 7 or 8, when we've seen in flashbacks. She's now an adult. She has enough, life experience to make decisions.
You've had these powers repressed for literally decades, and then all of a sudden they come to the forefront. And you're telling me that you would have full reign and control?
Probably
when
not.
You already...
But she's killing individuals to a point where she did it once accidentally, and she realized with Allison. But then the following ones were not accidents.
But
right?
then she was isolated and demeaned and treated like less than human, and so yeah, you're gonna feel some type of way, especially when
she's a killer.
When somebody's like putting it in your family. And if we're gonna do the killer thing, let's not act like Umbrella Academy that they're one of those superhero families that like they just throw them in jail, because when we see the flashbacks, old boy Ben is out here slicing boys up with his little tentacles. So it's not like they all have blood on their hands.
That's true.
It just so happens that the blood on Vanya's hands are people that we've known throughout the season. Doesn't make her less than of a person. But
I mean, everyone does have blood on their hands at some point, so no doubt about it.
If you would like to get into the conversation with us and chat with us about the Umbrella Academy or any of our other shows, Jim here is going to tell you how you can do that.
Oh, I can tell you that. You guys can do that by subscribing. And doesn't mean that this is a finale where the season's going to come back the next season. There's so many stones unturned. So subscribe to the podcast, comment. We do want to hear your thoughts on it, or any theories, or who's right, who's wrong. What are you guys thinking? So make sure to comment. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and comment there also. We read them, we hear them, want to know what you guys are thinking.
We really do appreciate your all's comments throughout the season, whether you agree with us or disagree with us. We appreciate hearing your thoughts because, you know, sometimes you change our opinions.
That's the point of the show, right? To debate, discuss different things. I mean, there's a lot of different characters you can like and not like.
That is very true. Speaking of the character that I do not like, finally Leonard is gone.
Yeah, I mean, he had it coming.
I don't even want to reflect on him for so long because he just got on my nerves. Basically, Vanya finds out that he's a creep, and I don't like that he was like, I made you, essentially. He basically was like, I'm the reason
why you brought the discovery to... He did have some, like, point, or in a sense, he did have some purpose of it. But, I mean, I think he asked for his demise. He really did. What came to him was justified.
I was like, holy white male privilege. Like, to assume that you made somebody when it's their God-given powers.
But the thing, I just think I guess he came to a point where I don't know if she gets it, that whole rage and the whole, you know, she discovers her powers if it wasn't for him constantly, you know, being there. Manipulating too in a lot of ways, to get that. So if he wants to take credit for that, for creating, in a sense, the worst version of her, you know, to bring it out, the powers she couldn't control and contained, and he achieved that, and then it killed him off. So that was justifiable. He got it coming to him. I
definitely agree with what Tehran said last week, that it's almost like a sense of, it was non-consensual. Like, it's almost like a form of rape. Like, he was forcing her into using these powers and stuff because he knew what she was capable of, but she didn't.
Well, he did. He had an idea, at least. He was definitely pushing it, and he's gross. And I'm not mad that he had his demise. But we knew that's going to come, right? It didn't take her long to be convinced that he's not, you know, in it for the right reasons. Like, I felt like as soon as it clicked with her, like, bam, he was gone right away. It's not like there was any sort of remorse or anything like that. She didn't think twice. Which, good on her. Yeah, I mean, give her credit, because it's like she wasn't letting to be manipulated anyway. She was just like, oh, I know what you are, and bam, he's gone, like, right after. So Five finds Leonard, and he, of course, you know, checks the eye situation. We finally find out who the eye belongs to, Leonard, but obviously, you know, he's not alive long enough to get the eyeball. And we kind of wrap up this episode basically with Vanya in the chamber, mad as hell, versus her family. She breaks out, and the end of the world is continuing. Right. Even though there's a hope that it's not going to happen, but can't stop that. We open up episode 10, R.I.P. Pogo. I know. I was surprised. I didn't want to see that coming. I was kind of disappointed to see. Maybe Mom would have been fine. I mean, she's a robot. She could probably be brought back. But I was going to say, she might come around. But I mean, he was, granted, he had some secrets, but he didn't do anything malicious. I never thought of him as a malicious character or someone that, like, I think he always had good means, you know, for them and tried to protect them. But I think just because, like, the road, what is the saying, like,
good intention. What is it? The road to good intention. I don't know. Good intentions
Something like
basically
it.
don't mean jack squat, is what I'm trying to say. Just because you have good intentions about something, I've had people have good intentions when they're like, "Oh, you're pretty for a black girl," but you still sound really stupid when you say that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
just
that's
because
for
you have good intentions about something doesn't mean it's not harmful or hurtful, or that
He basically held their history from them, right?
he was an accomplice.
Oh, I don't know if I wouldn't go that far.
He was an accomplice.
No, I just think that unless he had to dish it out, right? Because it was manifesting all these things, so he had to come clean. But to that point, I don't think he did anything harmful.
Vanya could have known about this literally after Hargreaves died. Like, she could have found out about her powers literally after. Thank you, Steph. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Oh, okay. Never heard that, actually.
Yes.
Good quote.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that is Pogo's demise, because
Sorry
he was
to
in
see
the
that.
wrong.
I wanted him to stick around.
he was in the wrong.
But you don't kill him, even if he wasn't
You
wrong.
don't kill him, but
there
I'm
was
saying
just such a
I'm not saying that she was right in killing him, but I'm saying, like, it's not like it's an innocent life here, because her quality of life was heavily tainted. Imagine being isolated from your siblings and everything from your entire life.
Well, it's not like I get it. He wasn't like completely like clean here, right? We can definitely agree on that. I just don't think the blame should fall on him. I mean, Hargreaves deserves pretty much most of the blame.
But he's dead.
Right.
So it's like, but at the same time, he's been dead. So it's like, if you didn't let me know what was going on after the fact.
How do you think it would have changed things? Like, would it really change? I mean, she was in a very different place back then. She was, before all this started kind of coming together. When she was putting her book out, like, that was a whole different phase, I guess, she was in her life at that time.
I think that he could have come to her after Hargreaves died. And obviously, we wouldn't have a show.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a number one thing. This is a show after all.
We wouldn't have had a show that happened like this. But I'm just saying, it's not like he had to hold a truth to someone who's dead. He could have told the truth.
He could have.
And I'm not saying he deserved to die.
Right.
But I am saying that he's a guilty party. Because
he had a thing in it.
When you're the getaway car in a robbery, you still get in trouble.
I just think he played a small part, but he did play a part. I agree with that.
He also sat aside for however some odd years and watched as these kids got abused in their own ways. So,
like I said, he
R.I.P.
did play a
Pogo.
part. He's like this. It all manifests through Hargreaves. I mean, that's the one that should be taking all the heat.
what I really enjoyed in episode 10 was the bowling alley scene.
Oh, that's a cool scene.
Where they're gathering together, kind of trying to figure out what's going on because Vanya has broken out, and they realize that she still has this concert that she's still going to go do. And right as they're planning, the commission comes in, and I really like this like little fight scene that we kind of
They always do a good job when it comes to the fight scenes. There's always like a cool soundtrack laid, and they always have fun visuals. Like it just like the colors and they make their fight scenes kind of artistic and like a music video. I always think of like a music video when you see them. It's something they've done since episode 1. That's the first thing I actually notice about the show. It's like they use cool soundtracks and they really make it almost like a ballet, the scene. It's always well executed.
And I like that I like seeing everyone's fighting styles or how everyone handles their fight. Because it's fun to kind of get to see each of them have like a glory moment. And I feel like we got to see that with them. So they show up to this concert and they basically are trying to stop it. But she,
That's one concert you wouldn't think stuff like this would happen at, right?
She goes off and the end of the world is coming. The commission is up in there fighting, and we get to see Klaus, which we've kind of seen little hints of it in episodes 9 and 10. Klaus realizes he can manifest Ben.
Right.
And we get to see...
No one believed him until that.
No one believed him. But we get to see that, he's able to manifest Ben, and Ben's really able to, like, kick serious ass. And I just want to say that,
You've been calling Ben. You did mention his significance. I believe it was you, right?
Yeah.
Earlier on a year. And I was like, I'm not sure if he's significant
but more
anyway.
so, that Klaus is not useless. And I just need you to say that for me and for the listeners, that Klaus is not useless.
In what way? Like, what's not useless?
They would have been screwed with the commission if he wasn't able to manifest Ben.
Yeah,
because Ben took out like
in
20,
that
30.
instance, yes, that's true. He did. Yeah.
In that instance, that's the end of the world. Like, it's a pretty big instance.
Yeah, no, it's a big moment. He stepped up in a big moment.
So just do me a favor.
Oh man.
And say that he's not useless.
Not based on the last 4 episodes. He had a purpose in the last 4 episodes. I don't know what happens after that. He might be useless next season, but last 4 episodes, he did have a purpose.
Adios míos. All right, whatever. We'll take it.
Yeah, okay.
So it comes down to sisterly love.
Mm-hmm.
Sisterly love is what?
It's been setting up that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for the last few episodes,
We've been kind of seeing it. But Allison is able to, she gets the opportunity where she could shoot Vanya or not, and she chooses not to, and she'll kind of have like this,
I'm not surprised.
loving moment. It's her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Loving moment, and they're able to all be together, and 5 time jumps them into a time that we have no idea where they're going, but that is how.
I figured something like that would happen. Like, you knew there was a time jump. You knew 5 would play some significant role in that at some point, because he was kind of quiet the last couple episodes. I mean, you saw him like in the background in a lot of ways. And here was finally, you knew something was going to happen with Apocalypse, that because he's the one that had the most information or knowledge on it. And you knew he had to play some sort of role in it, right? Ultimately.
Yeah. So I'm very interested to see what happens. As of right now, I guess we can count this as news and gossip, but there's not a season 2 confirmed yet. The cast has said there's not.
There's strong rumors, though.
There are, but as of literally, like, this is an article from today or yesterday, the Umbrella Academy stars still don't know if season 2 is happening. So you guys call up Netflix. If you listen, tweet at Netflix, let them know, because the numbers are there.
I'd be surprised if they didn't
Umbrella
come
Academy,
back.
but Netflix has been known to cancel shows in their prime. So
I would be surprised, though, if they didn't renew it.
I mean,
I just think it's a little bit posturing on their part, just not trying to.
Y'all renewed 13 Reasons Why for a 3rd season, and it shouldn't even been made into a 1st one. So just like.
But if that got 3 seasons,
that's
right?
That's what
then,
I'm saying.
yeah.
Please make a season 2 of Umbrella Academy, because that was a great show.
They left it on a cliffhanger in so many ways. You really think they would have just pulled the plug on it? That's why, I mean, the way they set it up, the ending.
They did that with The Punisher and Jessica Jones and.
That's a Marvel entity.
Fist.
It's a little bit different with all the Marvel shows now with Disney. It's a whole different thing. But I honestly would be really surprised if they didn't renew this show.
Yeah, but you guys, you can never be too sure, never be too safe. So tweet, email, call.
And speaking to say,
Netflix.
before we leave, Hazel, right? And that storyline and Agnes, I mean, that was kind of the redeeming thing. I like that moment. I
really like Hazel and Agnes. I'm glad they got their happy ever after somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat, but it's best as they could, right?
Yeah, they get to be together at the end of the world, and that's like.
I think she was the most like innocent / supportive character in this entire season of the show.
Yeah,
in a lot of
super
ways.
Cute.
Yeah, like there's nothing bad about Agnes at all, and she's so hopeful, like more hopeful than anyone, any character there. And I think like he actually recognized that in her, which is really makes this like a legitimate romance that
they were cute.
That was a real connection right there, and he did everything in his possibilities, to save her and make sure they're together. He literally risked it all. Credit to Hazel.
He did. Well, that is the end of this season.
Wow.
What are your final thoughts on this season? / what would you like to see for season 2?
Started off super slow. Last 4 episodes definitely picked up. I thought just a lot more reveals and characters stepping up. There's still so much to be uncovered. I feel like this is like halftime. If this was like a sporting event. There's so much to be seen, and there's so many loose ends that are not tied up. We don't know about certain relationships. We don't know. There's still a lot of lingering hurt feelings. There's still a lot of self-discoveries to be made. I think we just got a taste. I think this season gave us the 10 episodes here is give us a taste of what the characters are kind of about, but didn't give us any solutions. I don't think anything's resolved or solved at this point.
Which I think makes a great season 1. I thought season 1 was amazing. I loved the thing about season 1, or the thing about Umbrella Academy is for a lot of people, this is a brand new concept, brand new show. So I think it was a great job that they gave episodes 1 through 3 the chance to really build the foundation so we could understand who they were. And then once that happened, it was just like full speed ahead. I loved it. I loved the fight scenes. I loved the character development of everybody. I want more. I want more Ben in season 2. Give me Ben. Ben
They
is great.
have to, right?
I want
At
to
this
know.
point.
I want to know what happened to Ben. I want more Ben and Klaus, like, you know, going back and forth. I live for them. I want it. Give it to me. I want to see where they end up in the time travel. I'm so interested. I love this show. I need it to come back for a season 2. I really, really did enjoy it. And
Are you representing Netflix or Umbrella Academy? That's a strong pitch
Maybe.
right there.
yeah.
They need it just for you to have this season to
Listen,
bring back.
Gerard. Run me the check. I'm down. I'm down to hop on the team.
I'm curious. That's my takeaway.
Yeah,
to
they
see
did an
what-
excellent job of giving you a bunch of cliffhangers, so you have to have a season 2.
The cliffhangers start really speeding up episode 6 on up. I felt every episode after that, had a good cliffhanger to lead to the next one. It just took him 5 episodes to get to that point.
It was good storytelling.
We'll see what
But
happens. There's still a lot of, like I said, a lot of mystery, a lot of uncertainty.
We will see. Until next time, if you want to kick it with me, slide into my DMs anywhere at OKDrewJ.
And you can find me at the Jim Alexander on all social media, realtalker.com. That's REEL.
All right,
I'm there.
guys. We'll see you all later.
There's going to be a second season.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.